Everybody gotta deal with the bullshit that come with existing.
Well, I'm here. We're here. Home Depot. Today, I'm talking about something I avoided sharing, but knew it was an important part of my retirement story, and that is working into my 60s or into my retirement. And the fact that I work at Home Depot, or I work at Home Depot at 60 plus years of age, 66 to be exact. I started here, this Home Depot, 3.5 years ago. It's been a positive experience. I'm going to talk about that today and maybe give you some a story that might help you if you're looking for something to go, a company to work for. These types of companies are, I think, viable options. Let me be clear. This wasn't the plan. It was never the plan that I would work 20 some years, 30 years in my profession, whether it be teaching, and then I was going to go to work for Home Depot, collect Social
Everybody gotta deal with the bullshit that come with existing.
Security and go to work for Home Depot. Not the plan. I think, to be honest, the avoidance of wanting to talk about working in retirement is a level of embarrassment, shame even, that here I am working at Home Depot. I guess I'll throw this in here now. Remember the threats of if you don't pay attention in school, by your teachers or whoever, if you don't study, you're going to be working at Home Depot. I think back then, what I remember people saying is, you're going to end up a Walmart greeter. And I might make a video about that, because that demeans the person you're talking to. But you know what?
And it's absolutely not true, because you can literally, like this guy, not to use him as an example, but let's say you can go the traditional path. You could have been a straight A student your entire life, graduated from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, whatever, what have you. And you still can't get a fucking job. And you know what? The crazy thing about it too, even if you weren't able to get a job and you actually did apply for Home Depot, you'd be overqualified. Everybody gotta deal with the bullshit that come with existing. I'm not gonna lie, bro. And let's be real, guys. Let's be real for a second. You guys would be sick if you guys had to work at Home Depot at 66, 67 years old. I don't know about you, but I would be sick if I had to do that shit. Or if I have to do that shit. Because you just never know the future, bro. You never know what the fuck happens, bro. You can be up one day and then 1 year and then the next year you can be down in the dumps. You just don't know, bro. So, yeah.
Also demean.
And P.S. Respect this guy that, coming out on the internet and sharing this stuff, because I guess he's older, and I know as you get older you really give less of a fuck, but at least right now, you couldn't waterboard that information out of me.
The person that's doing that job. And I have a story about a Walmart greeter, and it's a good one. But that's just wrong. I don't think we should be talking about jobs or about people in that way related to the job. So maybe
and plus,
that's just...
at the end of the day, school is no guarantee of you being successful whatsoever. If anything, I honestly could argue that you being a straight square in school and doing good in school is actually a one-way ticket for you to be average and just conform. I said it. It sounds backwards as fuck, but I said it.
But maybe I'm kind of, maybe I feel this sense of embarrassment because of just my personal experiences. But here I am. Maybe it's a reflection of what I've thought when I look at people. I've had thoughts of, look at that poor guy. Sometimes I think about that when I'm at Costco or Sam's Club, and I look right now, you look at all the people giving the food samples, and you just think, wow, that's a tough way. They're doing that not because of the love of the job. I know they're doing that because all they've probably got is Social Security, and this is helping them buy food, pay the necessities only bills. And so there is a feeling that of empathy, maybe some sympathy. I think of people thinking, look at that poor guy, ended up in retail in the golden years. Again, not what you plan to do. But let me just say there is a positive side to this. This is also an important a feeling that you must have ended up here, Phil, or I look at our people, they must have ended up where they are ultimately because they failed, to carry out a financial plan. They failed to be disciplined. They were irresponsible. Now, this video isn't going to be about that because I was not. I had a plan. I had financial knowledge. But that's a whole different story. Today, though, it's about where I have landed. It's about making the best of the way things have turned out.
All right, well then let's hear the story, bro, because I'm curious as to why you're there. Okay, like at the end of the day, in most cases, the reason why someone would be in this situation is for the aforementioned reasons he said, which is just bad financial planning. I mean, I'm 28 now, like almost 28, pretty much. Pretty much a whole other 40 years of just like not planning and like it's kind of hard to fuck that up. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to fuck that up. You gotta try awfully hard to fuck that up. So I'm just curious to see what this guy's story is.
Selling an online education program and helping the people then successfully complete it. They found that there was a high degree of failure, which then resulted in a very high percentage of non-payment. So I said, I can get these people through it. And I was getting the people that I was helping through the course successfully. So they put me in charge of a new department that did just that, get them back involved. Well, that came to an end. I quit that job because there was a change in corporate direction. And then I was off work for a couple months. Well, not having savings that sustained me the rest of my life, I started thinking about what am I going to do? What kind of businesses could I start, et cetera, et cetera. When you're at this age, though, starting a business with little capital, and less energy than when you're younger, that's not necessarily a viable one. I had a neighbor that was working part-time at Home Depot, this Home Depot. And I thought, yeah, are they hiring? I asked her, are they hiring? She goes, yeah. She said, they'd hire you in a heartbeat. And I put an application in and I got hired in a heartbeat. I ended up at the service desk.
What is your story?
Listening, would you mind subscribing, liking? It is important. Closer, I said, no way. And to be honest, there was an adjustment period of actually standing on my feet all day. Something when you're younger, you don't give a second look or a second thought of. But on top of that, it's a concrete floor. And that was a challenge, although I overcame that pretty quickly. Well, after about 8 more months, I was working 26 to 30 plus hours a week, sometimes 40. And I thought, I could use those benefits versus what I had with the government ones. And I decided if I just added one more day here, I could get the benefits. So that was a big plus. On top of that, I obviously enjoyed working in this environment and for this company. It was a good move. Let me talk a little bit about the positives of having a part-time or full-time job in retirement. And I even think, and I've met a few people.
I mean, didn't he just say he was going to get to his story of how we got there? Did I miss something? Well, I can see kind of how now, bro. Like you don't got no structure, man. Look here. Let me sleep ahead. Let me see what's up.
Come to me and say, just start talking about how's it going. Ask me questions about my grandkids or I with them. And that's been good. As a matter of fact, when you have a community that knows you, like in education, you run into your students or former students or the parents of your students. That was always interesting. Well, now I am running into customers of Home Depot all around, and I mean at Walmart. Guy heard my voice and says, "Wait, where do how do I know you?" I said, "Home Depot," because I remembered him. And then we talked for another 15 minutes talking about some interests that we have, like interests. So I mentioned about being around younger people. You know, once you hit your 45 to 50 years old, from that time on in my working career, I was always being managed by 20 and 30-year-olds. So I was used to it, of being around younger people. As a teacher of primarily eighth graders, high schoolers, you're around younger people. And there is a saying that says, you know, being around youthful people keeps you younger. And I agree with that. But it's been fun to see how they respond to me as a boomer. Most of it's positive, but my favorite comment was being told, Phil, I just want you to know you're depressing that here you are later in life in those retirement years and you're working. There's been changes. You may be doing something entirely different, but it's still the same. You're not in control of your time per se. So if you've reached retirement like I have, and there's a sense of failure, a sense of you've dropped the ball some way. I think what helps me to realize is there is this idea of the stereotype of what retirement really is. There isn't a perfect retirement. There isn't any one way that every one person is going to fit into, because we've all had these different diverse paths to older age. It's going to look individualistic. It's going to look different for every person. And it does. Okay, I've said it. My name is Phil. I'm 66 years old. I'm retired, and I'm working at Home Depot. I've come to understand and accept and observe that this hasn't been a step down.
Bro, I honestly see why you're working at Home Depot, bro. No offense, but I see why you're 66 and working at Home Depot, bro. You are all over the damn place, bro. Like, you can just tell just based on how he talks and his personality, he's a poor planner. And correct me if I'm wrong, he said he used to be a teacher, so they don't make shit. They don't make fuck all. I mean, like, bro, like, it's crazy how people can tell you who they are just by, like, talking, their mannerisms and all that stuff. And this guy he's telling me who he is. He's, like, a happy-go-lucky guy or whatnot, but, like, he comes off as someone who has really no drive. Kind of just goes with the flow of life and kind of just floats with wherever life takes him. And if you want to have millions at retirement age, that's not the way you move. So, I don't know, man. Just his aura and everything that he's telling me and presenting to us kind of explains why pretty much he dropped the ball. Like, and I thought he was going to get into the reason as to why he was in this situation, but it's quite obvious that Buddy dropped the ball. But let's hear what else he got to say.
Not been a step backward. All of my teaching friends continue to work because they can't maintain a lifestyle they're used to having on their retirement. Corporate execs, I have a couple good friends that did through the corporate, got into high levels of management, CE, whatever, O's, P's, I's, levels, and because they're worried about their money running out, they're going back to work. And it's interesting because their choices for work are usually the jobs that are low stress. It's more common than I thought. You know, at this point, this path allows me to work on my retirement plan, continue to work on my retirement plan. And it's an example of making the best of the way things have turned out. I just have
I mean, I like this guy's attitude, but like at the end of the day, bro, like this guy don't really got no damn plan, bro. He don't got no damn plan. I can just I can see his personality, and I can see exactly why he's in this situation. This doesn't have to be you. Now, if you just click the course link in the description, I got the best retirement plan for you, all right? But like all jokes aside, man, like I can see why he's in this situation. Yeah, it may be a more common thing these days. But I mean, you have 40 years to, bro, like even if you barely invest any money over like 40 fucking years, bro, like you're gonna fucking have a few M's. Like, I don't see how you can fuck that up. I see how you can fuck it up, but like it boiled down to he dropped the ball and he just didn't plan. He kind of just lived day by day and went with the flow. I could just tell by just his personality. And look, if you got a problem with what I'm saying, just leave it down in the comments below. But like, I'm just making an observation based on what I'm saying. Unbiased. I don't know buddy. He don't know me. So I'm just telling him what it is. Telling him how I see the situation.
That's how I felt when I realized I wasn't going to be able to quit work. What my plan, though, is to not have a career at Home Depot, but to use this as a transition. This is simply a decision, a path forward. Forward to what? Well, forward to the new opportunities that we have in retirement, if we've kept our health, to do some things that will supplement, maybe even offer an opportunity to financially live like we've never lived before even. I certainly have simplified life. That's been a very key component of it. I've had to deal with debt. And as you bring those things into control, I've found that is truly the key, the secret to enjoying this time in our life, the retirement years, in a non-traditional way. So in contemplating these ideas and talking to people, came up with this idea that, you know, our worth, how we feel about ourselves in retirement, does not represent a traditional retirement characterization.
Yeah, he's all over the place. I see exactly why he's in the position he's in. I'm sorry, like I'm sad. Like I see exactly why you're in the position you're in, Mr. Boomer. What's up, Boomer? I see exactly. He went to say, okay, yeah, this Home Depot thing is just a segue into my plan, and it still never went into his fucking plan of what he plans to do. Like, this guy, like, is all over. I wonder if any comments are going to call this out, but let me see if he reveals his plan finally. Or why he's in that situation. But at the end of the day, I already told you why he's in that situation. Just look at his personality.
Life. We're connecting. We're finding a meaning in our days, and that can look really rich.
Oh my gosh, bro. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be respectful comments, but I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna play the bad cop. Like, I know exactly why he's in that situation. No offense, but like, he never planned shit, bro. Like, bro, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I know life's hard and all this stuff, bro, but like 40, 50 fucking years you're working. And you're trying to tell me that you can't stash away a little bit and invest that shit in, bro? Like, bro, that's bullshit. Fucking bullshit. If you tell me you can't do that, bro, like 40 fucking years. You have 40 years. 50 years, really? In some cases. Nah, not 50 years. But you got like 40 fucking years, bro. 40 some odd years. 45 years. Alright, let's hear these stories though. After 4 decades as a painting contractor, I went to work at Home Depot at age 62. I am still there 20 years later. I work in the paint department 40 hours a week. Having lost my wife of 50 years a few years ago, damn, that's actually pretty sad. I appreciate the social interaction. My customers appreciate having a knowledgeable tradesman who gives them good advice about their painting project. I personally plan on working at HD as long as I'm physically and mentally able. Home Depot has been good to me. No, and I'm glad. And you know, another thing, I like his attitude. He has very good attitude, bro. But like, I know I've said it a million times. I see why he's at Home Depot. I see why. Just keeping it a buck. Not being dead or in prison is a success story for me. All right, cool. It's a pretty low bar, but cool. All work has dignity. I've worked jobs that pay me $250,000 a year and jobs that pay me less than $10 an hour, and they all felt the same, like work. Every job has its ups and downs, but you should be proud of any work you do. Fair enough, yeah. But yeah, no one's going to call out the fact that, no one's going to, okay, I guess I'm the only one who has an interesting take then. No one's going to call out the fact that, like, hold the brother accountable, like, I mean, not that, like, it's my job to hold him accountable, but, I mean, bro, like, this does not have to be, if you guys are young, you guys are in your 20s, 30s, 40s even, man. Like, this shit does not have, even when you're 40, you still got fucking, like, 25 years, bro. I'm sorry, man. Like, there's just no way you can. Unless this everything really didn't work out for you, man. Like, there's no way you can just like be left with nothing at 65. There's no way. I refuse to. At least for me, I refuse to believe that.